Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Going on. Real quick, let me give a shout out to our sponsors, though. SNJRadio.com. No negative news, no politics, just feel good music. And our man, Secondhand Sam, up at Second Chance Thrift Store, next to USA Subs on Ukaiba Boulevard. What's going on today, Lola?
Not much. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. I'm doing excellent. It's a very beautiful Sunday.
Very. I agree.
Yeah. So today, well, let's catch up a little bit. As some people might know, some people don't. We graduated together.
Yes.
Along with Sam's older brother.
Yes.
And so Tim is going to make an appearance later on today. And so he'll be able to hang out with us for a little bit.
Little reunion.
I know, so sweet. So what's been going on since high school?
Well, since high school, I have been moving around. Just going to get into that.
Yeah, let's get into that, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I haven't seen Kyle in a while, in years. We graduated, I think, 2015.
2015, yeah.
But recently, we ran into each other, and I spilled the beans about what I've been going through, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, let me think about how to start this off.
Okay, yeah.
2019.
2019, okay.
I was, I think, 21, and my living situation at the time at home was not too great. I was in not the best relationship. We were quite dependent on each other, and he also didn't have a good living situation. But he kept in contact with this family that he knew from his childhood.
Oh, okay.
Down here. It was one of his childhood friends that used to live down here, but they moved about 10 years ago to Tennessee.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yes. So anyways, they keep in contact, and the past year leading up to moving to Tennessee, their family, the mom and the dad, they would say, "Oh my gosh, you guys need to move in with us. It's horrible what you're going through. You could live here rent-free. We have plenty of rooms.
Oh, wow.
Plenty of space. We have roommates here.
Yeah.
You know, we have other people. We just want to help you guys out, get a better life started for you." So eventually we're just like, okay, let's get out of here. Let's do it. Rent-free, cool.
Yeah.
So we book it to Tennessee, and we get there, and there's 3 other people who they're not part of the family. They're living there. They knew that family somehow. Like they're either just friends, you know. And yeah, I didn't know them at all. Everyone was a stranger. They greeted me very, very nicely. They gave us our own room, and I got there, I want to say, a day before my 22nd birthday too. So that was a lot to take in. I didn't know anyone, and I was celebrating with strangers.
Yeah.
But anyways, they eventually they sat us down, and they would say, we have group meetings here at this house, and we have rules that we live by, and there was a certain way of living there. It wasn't just, here's a free room.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And I don't know. How am I doing so far?
Oh, you're doing great. Okay. Yeah, you're doing fantastic. Yeah.
My first radio show, so.
Yeah, this is exciting.
But anyways, so we get there. There was only, like, you know, some of the rules were you can't see any doctors, you can't talk to your family or friends from California. You could only eat certain foods that, you know, they're really strict about things. I mean.
That's weird.
Yeah, but they leaned into it. It wasn't right off the bat like that. The first couple of weeks, they were showering me with gifts and just constantly trying to win our trust. Like, they would stay up with us and drink for hours and
Oh,
just get
wow.
really close with us. It seemed somewhat normal. But, so I opened up to these people very quickly. And the leader of this house, we call her a leader. It was the mom, pretty much.
Okay.
Everyone said, you do what she says, like, and if you don't, you're gonna get in really big trouble. Like, it'll be hell. Oh, it'll be just so bad. Okay.
Yeah.
For the
Oh, there you
rest
go.
of the house. And so
Yeah.
you have to do what she says, and you need to learn what she approves of and what she doesn't. And hearing that, I was like, whoa, maybe she's just a strict religious person,
Yeah.
But yeah, I had no choice, it felt like at the time. So I was like, okay.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh. So, like, off the bat, you're getting all these gifts. You open up to them, and then it's just. At what point did things you felt things were a little weird?
I'm not gonna lie. As soon as I got there to the house, like that night, the energy,
Yeah.
I'm not crazy hippie person or whatever. I don't know. No offense to hippies, but it felt really weird when we got there and we were in the house.
Yeah.
Like super weird glazed smiles and
Right.
I don't know, but of course there was. I think it was when the first thing that really, really, really ticked me off was my boyfriend at the time. He had a fever. It was like 103-degree fever
Oh,
that
wow.
lasted for like 3 days, and we were really
Wow.
scared. And the woman of the household was yelling at us that we can't see a doctor because
What?
they are evil, and we can't see doctors. And it was a huge argument about that.
Oh my God.
And so then she explained to us why doctors are evil, and that is, I think, what started these weekly 6-hour conversations. Not even conversations. She would sit me down at least once a week and talk 6 hours straight about why they live the way that they do and why we should do what they say.
So, So when did all this start? Like, it couldn't have started when you guys got there. Like, how long do you think that they've been doing this?
They've had someone. Okay, so there was. I think they first started with when they had it was their son's girlfriend first moved in.
Okay.
They said they rescued her, and then that's when they started doing that. And then they got another person to move in, similar thing, where he was vulnerable, and he had been living there when me and my ex moved in for not too long, like 4 months.
Okay.
So they hadn't been doing it too long. They had been living on their own. It's just a mom, dad, and a son in a 3-story house, 6 bedrooms in Tennessee, alone for, it was like 10 years. But they opened up to us and said that they've been trying to get people to move in with them because they don't agree with how the world is.
Huh.
So basically, they were, I want to say, just they were trying to get something going, but a little too dumb, maybe. But
Oh my gosh.
I mean, still a force to be reckoned with, because the manipulation tactics that they ended up using really did do a number on everyone in the house. Like, I left after about 4 months, and then one other roommate who lived there that I was closer with, he left, I want to say 6 months after we did.
Okay.
And when he did, I got back in contact with him, and we talked for about a year and a half and realized, oh my gosh, this is really insane stuff, and we have trauma from it.
Wow.
And I didn't talk about it when me and my ex left. It was his idea. There was one night or one day he said, we got to get out of here. It does not feel right, and we should just start packing and take off like as soon as possible.
Right.
And when we left, he was very afraid and said, we can't tell anyone about this, like not even our parents, like what was really happening there. Like we wanted them to think that it was a nice little place and it just wasn't our environment or whatever. But yeah, it didn't take long for things to get weird.
Right.
And it came in waves. It either get very, very weird and very tense in the house, and then me and the other roommates would be like, oh, a little on edge. And so I think the mom and dad running the house, they could sense that, and so they would buy us a bunch of things. Like they bought me and my ex our own fridge, like a huge fridge just for us and the other roommates too. So there was a bunch of fridges in the house that we all just had to ourselves, like full fridges. And they bought everyone TVs, and then they would just offer a bunch of things every time we would get on edge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So that was probably one of the tactics though, right? Just giving you gifts.
Yes.
Like affirmation, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What were some other things that they were trying to do?
They were very protective of the house.
Okay.
They kept a bunch of handguns by their front door. And they told us one time, you guys have to be ready to protect this house if for whatever reason someone comes knocking on our door.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and they were talking about police or government. And I don't know. I just went along with it. I was like, oh.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I'm thinking, like, why would that happen?
Yeah.
And I think they were very just paranoid people.
Gotcha.
But, I mean, they definitely had an agenda. So that was one thing that they wanted us to do. And like I mentioned earlier, cutting off, like, all ties with everyone we know.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, they tried telling me that, like, they basically believed in weird things that, like, a lot of people's family and bloodline is so embarrassing, like, connected to Illuminati, right? They were one of those people.
Okay.
And they were really big on that. And, you know, so after I opened up to them about my life, they said, okay, you're part of this. And this is why a bunch of bad things happen to you in life. So you can't leave the house.
What? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and they're like, and that's why you can't talk to your family. And your parents might not know it, but there's someone in there that is causing all of this, or your bloodline is causing all this. And during a very vulnerable time in my life, I don't know, it was an answer. It felt really crazy, but
right, yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. And I mean, it also wasn't mentioned casually. This was mentioned during one of those 6-hour conversations where this woman is just talking for all those hours straight without me mentioning anything. And it was very exhausting. And, you know, after I got out of that, and was told that, oh, the living situation you were in, it qualifies as a cult.
Yeah.
I look into it, and there are manipulation tactics like psychological and mental exhaustion.
Yeah.
through talking like that, like 5 hours straight, consistently, is a way to almost like it works as like brainwash, like
Right,
whatever,
yeah.
your judgment goes down.
Yeah, it's like a form of conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was they did that to each house member individually. It wasn't all of us together.
So she had a 6-hour conversation with everybody.
Yes, she did that with
Wow.
everyone.
Every week?
Yeah, and we just thought she was crazy rambling, right? But leaving, all of us talking about it, we were like, I think it was done with intent.
Yeah.
What she was doing. And yeah, so it was like every week, and sometimes it was like 3 times a week.
If it was like really bad.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And she's
like, did she repeat the same stuff every week?
no. I mean, some things were repeated, like
There was always like something new.
yes. It was either stories of hers, things that happened to her in her life connected to the CIA.
Naturally.
Yeah. Or research things that she found on her own, that we need to be aware of, what's happening in the world.
Oh my
Or
gosh.
what they believe in. They followed this book called the Urantia book. So that was what they followed. Yeah, basically, so it took me there was a lot. So basically the dynamics, that kind of I had a friend who studied cults, right? And she's the one that said that was a cult, and it was because there was a leader of the household,
Right.
yes, and there was a belief system that was pushed on to everyone, and a set of rules, and those two go together, but and then also you just need at least 3 outside members from like a family to be living together. So they had all of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I brought up the Urantia book. That was something that they followed, and they were trying to.
What is the Urantia book?
Oh my gosh, I tried not to even get into it. It's just this. I don't even know this book that someone anonymously wrote in the 40s or 50s, and it got out there somehow, and it's like a Bible.
It's like okay, no, I get it.
Yeah, but the Urantia book, the people who follow it, their thing is that it's just a book that they follow, but there's no set religion because they don't like the idea of religion. But
wow.
yeah, and then it had some crazy concepts about, from at least what I was told. I never read it. I was a little too freaked out to.
Right. Yeah. Naturally.
But the mom and the dad would explain, it explains everything about race and why it is the way that it is. And by the way, these people were, also racist, and their beliefs came from that book because they said the book explained how. Oh, this is scary to talk about for me.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't
No.
know.
It's yeah. You
But
can go at your own pace. Yeah.
yeah, the book explained. I don't know. It went into race in depth, I guess.
Huh.
But it
That's
explained
bizarre.
like the creation of life, humanity. Yeah, like I said, like the Bible, but it was weird to take. And yeah, they were always printing out pieces of the book and giving it to me and saying, whenever you're ready. Like, so on a weekly basis, they were doing that. And I was considering it at one point, but
Right. Yeah.
no, that I didn't get into it, but yeah.
So what was the thing about like no doctors or outside help? Like, Were they all like considered like the devil or
Yes. Evil.
Evil?
Yeah.
So what was their remedy to like if someone got sick?
So actually, the the woman of the household, she had cancer,
Ah,
but she wasn't being seen for it. She had skin cancer, this huge, disgusting, I don't know, mole-looking thing on her stomach,
oh my gosh.
and she was pretty much dying. They just were into the natural stuff. Like they did their own research about natural home remedies, and that's
Oh,
what
okay,
they
like
lived
glow
on.
sticks, stuff like that.
Yeah, which was cool. I mean, I was into that stuff, so I was like, okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, they took it very far.
So your ex had a fever for 3 days.
Mhm.
How did he turn out? Is he fine?
He's okay.
He's okay?
Yeah.
Was it just like a cold or?
Yeah. So he ended up being fine, but you know, seeing their reaction to his fever was, I mean, it was very telling of what kind of people they are.
Yeah, they started getting mad and stuff like that, or?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then, they started to question like our loyalty to them. Because we were saying we really need to see a doctor.
And then they saw it as like, you don't believe us.
Yeah.
Oh.
And do you really want to be here? We can help you. Why don't you believe us? We can help you. And they're like, yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So this lasted 4 months?
Yeah, we were there for 4 months.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. That's just mind blowing. Like, I'm just trying to think of stuff just to say, like, a lot of that, like conditioning, different stuff like that, and like, where in Tennessee was this? Like, towards the capital, or?
It was in a city called Farragut. It's by Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay, so I was just handed the Urantia book.
Okay, awesome.
Just going to explain that. Urantia is the name of the planet Earth, and it states the intent to present enlarged concepts and advance truth. Okay. So the book aims to unite religion, science, and philosophy, and the enormous amount of material for science is unique among literature claimed to be presented by celestial beings. Here's what I don't understand is they don't claim to be like a religion, but like everything here is like based off religion.
Yeah, it is. And again, I mean, this is just what also those people were telling us too. But that was their big thing, like, oh, it's just a book, like we're free to do what we want, but you got to follow this, what they say.
like that's such a weird concept. Like if you told like a Christian, like, here's the Bible, I want you to follow this, but you don't have to. Mm-hmm. Like, that's so weird.
Yeah. It was weird.
Like, so this lasted from 2019 to 2020?
Just before 2020.
Just before 2020.
Yeah, it was August to December.
August to December. Wow.
The roommate that we left behind, I kept in contact with him afterwards, like I said. He was there at the beginning of the pandemic, and he told me that they were going to buy hazmat suits for everyone. And then they had to wear them, and that they were also preaching why it's the end of the world and you have to start working from home. And not because they were afraid of the virus, but because they were afraid of, what the government's doing, which I understand, but they were...
Like, it was like eccentric.
Yes, very much so. That's when he left, and yeah, I'm glad we left before all that happened. But
yeah, that would have been bad being stuck there with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because they shut everything down.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Is there anyone you know that's still in there? Like,
I don't. I don't think so. Just the girlfriend that was living there.
Right.
The three of us, me, my boyfriend, and the other guy living there, we all took off. They were trying to get 2 other people to live there while we were there.
But that didn't work out.
No, it didn't work out.
Man, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
And you were basically living there rent free.
Well, eventually they wanted us to pay rent.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So we did. But yeah.
Oh my goodness. So
I think that was just their way of getting us to come there. Saying that it'll be rent free.
we have about 30 seconds before we have a break, and then we got a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back to it. We got Lola here speaking about crazy stuff that's happened 2019. So we're going to go on a quick break. Quick shout out to smjradio.com. No negative news, no politics, just feel good music.
From the Bureau of Economic Geology, this is Earth Date. Mark your calendars and buy some eye protection, because on August 21st, 2017, the U.S. will experience a total eclipse of the sun. A total eclipse happens when the moon passes perfectly in front of the sun, blocking its view from the Earth. Only a small path across the U.S. will see the sun completely obscured. But that path of totality stretches from Oregon to South Carolina, passing over nearly 50 million people. If you were to view the eclipse from space, you'd see a small moon shadow 70 miles wide cast upon the surface of Earth and moving quickly across it at 1,500 miles an hour. From Earth, you can experience this moving shadow too. If you're lucky enough to witness the total eclipse from a mountaintop, you'll see the moon shadow racing toward you from miles away. Eventually, it will engulf you. Darkness will fall. The temperature will drop 10 to 15 degrees. You'll see what looks like sunset on all horizons. Birds will stop chirping, and crickets may start. But don't blink. This ethereal scene will last only about 2.5 minutes before the shadow races on. The experience can be awe-inspiring, even unnerving, and you'll understand how early cultures would have given powerful religious significance to a total eclipse. If seeing one is on your bucket list, head to the Path of Totality on August 21st, find some high ground, and look to the heavens, wearing the right eye protection, of course. I'm Scott Tinker, and I hope you'll enjoy this coming date on Earth.
Earth Date is produced by the Bureau of Economic Geology at the University of Texas at Austin. Earth Date is researched by Julie Hennings, written by Harry Lynch, and distributed by Mark Blunt and Casey Walker. For more stories, follow us on Facebook or visit earthdate.org.
Medicare Clarified. Hi, this is George Litchfield with Litchfield Insurance Associates. Well, it's getting close to that time of year again where you want to make sure you're getting the most out of your Medicare plan. There are exciting new plans for 2022 with United Healthcare, SCAN, and others. For your no-obligation review, people are calling 951-314-1949. If you're turning 65, new to the area, or losing group coverage and have questions about Medicare, you are invited to our new offices and resource center at the Sundance Corporate Center, 835 Highland Springs Avenue, Suite 305 in Beaumont. For your no-cost Medicare consultation, people are calling 951-314-1949 to get their Medicare clarified.
We've all heard jokes that begin with a rabbi, a priest, and a minister walk into a bar. Well, a rabbi, a minister, and a deacon actually walk into the KCAA studios every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. to host the radio program Religion on the Line. And that's no joke. Together, they offer a mixture of humor and serious conversation about things that really matter in life and how to make our lives happier and more fulfilling. They compare religious doctrine and learn from each other while bringing a unique perspective of religion to the KCAA audience. Listen every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. for Religion on the Line, the intersection of humanity and divinity, right here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listeners behind.
Bob Vila here with my home improvement tip of the day. You've heard the old saying, measure twice, cut once. When it comes to do-it-yourself projects, there couldn't be a better motto. Here are some tips for sizing up jobs around the house. Don't use a 25-foot tape for measuring for a 6-inch cut. Better to use a smaller tape that's easier to manipulate. To transfer your measurements to the surface of the material you're cutting, first press on the edge of the tape and roll it until the edge makes contact with the material. Then put the point of your pencil at the measurement and flick it up and to the right, and then to the left. That'll give you a mark that's very visible, yet small enough at the point to maintain accuracy. Also, keep a clear perspective on how accurate your measurements really need to be. For example, if you're cutting drywall, a 1/4-inch gap isn't going to make a big difference. You can always cover it with tape and mud. Not so with wood trim, even though a little caulk goes a long way. And with clear finish woodwork, you'll need to be more precise. Get more info at bobvila.com and right here at home with me, Bob Vila.
AM. Today we got Lola talking about some crazy stuff, being in a cult, and escaping it. So we're going to dive back into it. Real quick, though, we'll do some sponsors. SNJRadio.com. No negative news, no politics, just feel good music. And our man, Secondhand Sam, up at Second Chance Thrift Store, next to USA Subs on Yucaipa Boulevard. So let's just dive a little bit back into it. You talked before about how you were part of a cult for 4 months in Tennessee. What were some of the things that they were trying to tell you?
The things that they were trying to tell me was, I would say their whole agenda that they were pushing was that the world works in a certain way that is, it's not obvious, and it's a very dark and evil place, and they had the answers. They knew what was really going on. So, and they would explain to us why they think those things, not even think, but why it was true. You know, everything was truth that to them. But a very concerning thing that they would tell me often is that, you know, they believe, or they are, I don't know, like I said, this is what they think, that their family, their bloodline's connected to the CIA, both the mom and the dad, these two people who run the house. And they explained that because of that, they are victims to G-men performing experiments on them. What? But they, with technology and drugs that no one knows about, so they would say that their food used to get drugged all the time, and they were being, I don't know, like they were performing acts unconsciously out in the world, basically like hurting other people, like at you know, under the influence, not being conscious. And it's because,
so like taking advantage.
Yeah. Like, yeah, they were puppets taking advantage of other random people. And they said that they do this in the middle of the night, and and they would say, but, you know, but God knows that it's not us making these decisions to do that. We're not conscious. So, you know, that is where we find forgiveness in ourselves, because it's hard to face that we hurt people.
Right. And
we do these horrible acts and take advantage. And they're not talking about manipulation. They were talking about like physically hurting people. And they only told me this. They didn't tell my boyfriend that. He would get different stories that weren't as far out. And yeah. And I don't know. I think they told me things that was, I think, specifically catered to me because of my traumas, and then they would tell my boyfriend certain things that were triggering more towards his traumas.
Oh, so they were okay.
So they were constantly just bringing up triggering things, but then giving us, then they just reassure me. Like, they trigger you for hours on end saying these horrible stories, but then they I don't know, bring it back into where somehow, I don't know, I never thought it was okay, but I felt okay enough to still live there for another week, I guess. I don't know. You know, and there's a lot of embarrassment and shame. Like, you know, I'd tell a couple friends, they'd be like, well, why didn't you think to leave? Or like, how come you didn't think that was like bad enough to leave? And I didn't know. I was like, yeah. And so that's like, yeah, I think a common thing people ask, like, how are people dumb enough to join a cult, you know? And like, how are they okay with the things that go on in a cult?
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of
Well, it's about being vulnerable too, you know.
we were very vulnerable, and they knew everything about us before we even got there. They had been talking to us for a year leading up to moving there.
So they were kind of conditioning you before you moved in.
Yeah.
Just so they could know what to say.
Yeah. You know, the woman there was saying that I'm like her daughter and she's like my mom, and I'm there for a reason. I'm saving her life just by being there. But then, I don't know, she would lash out too. We weren't allowed to have the garage door open at all. And also, the mom who lived there, she never left the house at all when I lived there. No one, the son didn't either. He didn't work. The mom didn't work. It was just the dad. He used to be in, I think, the Air Force.
Okay.
And now he's a recruiter, so he works from home.
Oh.
So they're always at home. The only time that he ever leaves was to go grocery shopping every Thursday, and that was it. So they never left the house, ever. Yeah. Just the dad, just to do grocery shopping. But the mom was always home. And, they eventually wanted all of us to work from home, too. And I think, towards right before we left, the mom ended up getting one of the roommates fired from their job, like by calling in and complaining, because she really wanted all of us to work from home. I mean, she wasn't flat out saying like, oh, you need to work from home, but they mentioned that to us, and we were all like, no, we like our jobs. And and then she would...
So she would sabotage.
Yeah, she started to sabotage. She tried to tell us, oh, well, you know, they're not paying you guys right. They're not treating you right. And then that's when, you know, she got her fired.
So first they would start with try to condition you guys, hey, you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. And if that didn't work, then they would eventually call work and complain and make up stories and wow. And did they do this for anything else? Like maybe if you want to hang out with people outside, they'd be like...
They were very judgmental of everyone outside, and they didn't want us to hang out. They had to like know who we were hanging out with, but I didn't have any friends out there, so that wasn't... Yeah, me and my ex, we didn't have any friends. The other girl living there, she didn't have any friends either. It was just the one other roommate. And that's where I saw that they were constantly saying, we don't think that person's good. We think they're up to some kind of business that, underground business that, like, I don't know, just coming up with crazy things. And yeah, there's constant sabotage saying, like, I think this happened. And yeah, just all kinds of crazy stories constantly why that roommate shouldn't have other friends.
That's crazy. Do you think that they ever called like the roommate's friend or tried to like antagonize them? Like, have you heard any stories from the roommate that like, hey, they've been talking to my friend, and saying stories or lies or,
I don't think so. The only thing I would hear though was from other people who used to know this family. They had stories, like weird stories about the parents. Like, they used to do this to us when we were kids, and so we don't talk to them anymore. And they were telling me that whenever we'd hang out, they're like, oh, this our friend who used to hang out with all of us, this is what they said happened here, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And what were some of the things that they said?
Oh, just gross things.
Oh, like weird, like
they think they do weird sexual things to everyone. That was the feel there. Sex was brought up a lot in that house. That was the very weird thing. It was constantly being brought up, like, oh, this, we think, I don't know, like, this roommate wants to do this, and like, I don't know, and bringing up, I don't know, it was a constant topic. That's weird. Felt very weird, and that's what all the friends would say, like, yeah, it's we do worry about them. We do think they have some weird things going on, and basically, yeah, I felt like their goal was to just have a big, huge sexual thing going too. That's what it. Yeah, they were predators.
So they were predators, and then you said that the book that they followed, was it more like white supremacy?
Based on what they told me, yeah. Yeah, why they would say that the book mentioned there's different colored humans, but it started off as like, or species, different colored species, I don't know, who eventually evolved to humans. I can't remember, but they mentioned like red, blue, green, and yellow. And I know. But like I think, I don't know, one of them's supposed to be, we eventually evolved into the white man, and they were the most spiritually advanced and intellectually advanced. So one of the roommates there, I mean, one of our roommates, he was black, and they would tell him things like he's always messing up. Just watch him, catch on to him, and you will find that he's very dumb, but it's okay because he is black. I know, this is horrible. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was so sad because that roommate was so dependent on the mom and the dad. And he's like, they took me in, they saved my life. They're amazing people, Lola. Like, you're so lucky to be here. And that's how how the other two members in the house would talk. Like, you guys are so lucky to be here. This is the best place to live. And then, but yeah, after a couple months, we would all get together and be like, it's changing. It doesn't feel good. Like, me and we would go outside in the middle of the night, like sneak out and talk outside and whisper to each other about, like, I remember one night, I was saying, me and my boyfriend were starting to think that our room is bugged. Like, I know it sounds crazy, and we're a little embarrassed to say it. And then the roommate was like, I was thinking that too, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it, because everything that me and my boyfriend were talking about in our own bedroom would be brought up, like, by the mom and the dad, and we don't talk loud. We weren't shouting or fighting. It'd be like we were literally sitting in bed, talking about these things, and we're like, wow, how does this happen? We were getting very, very paranoid and on edge, and so was the other roommate. And yes, yeah. So
Did you feel like you were bugged when you went outside or went to work or anything?
that was a concern that me and the roommate talked about. Yeah, we were very much worried about that. And though it was the mom and the dad would even say we were being followed. That it's a very high possibility that we were being followed, but not by them, but by crazy government people. But but basically, we were worried that what if they were just saying that because they were trying to keep tabs on us,
Yeah.
And even if they weren't, it was just living out of fear constantly when we were there, and they were these people just saying we're always being watched. I don't know. But yeah, maybe they were always watching us. There was a night when I was sleeping alone and my boyfriend was playing video games. It was like 2 a.m. with, the other roommate there. And I kept hearing a man and a woman's voice, and they're talking about me and my body, and
What?
and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm trying to wake up." And it took a while to wake up, but I could hear it on the outside. And it was very bizarre. I wake up, no one's in the room. I go downstairs and I was like, "Hey guys, I heard these two voices." And they're like, "Yeah, we heard that too." And I was like, "What?" So the next morning I brought it up to the parents and I was like, "I was hearing this and these voices were saying these things. I don't know. Maybe I was like dreaming." But, the other people who were awake, they said they heard it too. But they just shrugged it off because they couldn't tell, they didn't hear what was being said. But they're like, "Oh yeah, we heard that too. We just thought it might have been, the mom or whatever." But she was like, I was telling her, I heard this and they were saying these horrible things. And she's like, "Not me. It was not me. Just so you know." Just that was her reaction. And I was like,
That's all she could say.
yeah. And they were saying horrible things, like, very sexual things, like about my body. And yeah, that was just, yeah, that was a common topic, was sex and bodies, and I don't know.
Yeah. Was there any other things that they tried to enforce, like not sexually, but like violence or like did they say, hey, could you steal from these people? It's all right, or like and like basically and any other like law that was like you could feel that was broken or like on the outside?
No, not so much. Because they just wanted to keep us there the whole time. The only thing was just like having guns and being prepared to shoot anyone.
What?
That was it. Yeah, by the front door. They're like, "Well, there's a
Oh
gun
my
for
gosh.
everyone here. Just be ready." Like, can you do that? And we're like, "Sure, I guess."
Yeah.
So,
So what were some trigger points for them? Like just living everyday lives and then like all of a sudden they start freaking out. Like were there any times that happened?
all the time,
All the time.
actually. Yeah. Um, it either they're really concerned about food.
Okay.
Um,
So what you put into your body.
yes, they're very concerned about how you keep up with your body, and you got to be very, I don't know, extremely healthy. I don't know, but
Okay.
but it was weird. There's that. It was almost like anything
Right.
about literally everyday life. They had something to say about it, and they lecture you for hours. I remember we were all afraid to talk
Right, yeah.
to those people because they would sit us down and say why we can't do a certain thing or talk about something. It was like everything.
Wow. Okay. So at what point did you guys feel like you and your ex, did you guys feel like this is it? This is enough?
There was a breaking point. I do remember. They I don't know. It could have been at one point. I'm trying to think. Basically, it's just when we didn't have like any freedom. Like we couldn't leave the house. We couldn't talk to our family. And after dealing with that for about like a month of being completely isolated in that house, besides going to work and grocery shopping, I might have been one time. It was more so just their behavior. I think that my ex got mad about. Like I had the garage open because my ex was working on my car. He was just repairing it, and then
so they freaked out.
Yeah, they freaked out. They were very private, and so they freaked out, and the mom, she brought me into the house, and she yelled at me for like 30 minutes until I started crying. And then when my ex walked in or my boyfriend at the time walked in, she completely changed, put on a smile, and she's like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Like, "Hey, everything's fine."
You
don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and I told him about that. I was like, she was just yelling at me, go like insane, cursing at me about how horrible of a person I am for having the garage door open. He was like, "Well, that was freaky," because she's like smiling and acting like nothing happened. And yeah, so he said, "It's just too weird here. We gotta go. We're too paranoid about too many things. Other people are. I think something is going on."
So you guys just packed your bags and then left?
Yeah, we were out within a week.
Wow. Okay. So it's about that time. Thank you guys for listening to Whatever Works, KCAA, the station that leaves no listeners behind. 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, and 1050 AM. Here with Lola, here giving her testimony on that. Be sure to listen back on kcaaradio.com and our website, kcaawhateverworks.com. Thank you guys and have a wonderful night. Happy Sunday.
Generous support of the Dream Team. Looking for the keys to something